Justin, EquinEdge Weekend Stakes Preview Show. Oldy, I'm back. You've been here for the last few weeks. We were off for a bit. Kentucky Derby Trail heating up, Florida Derby on Saturday, and then Rebel as well. Tonight we're going to cover 10 stakes, all Gulfstream Park. Oldie, I looked at some of these and I didn't understand why some of these horses were in these races, but I don't know. Maybe that's just the way I saw these races. I don't know. I was very confused, but it's good to see you. How you been?
Not bad. I couldn't agree with you more in some cases, but there's also enough horses that have a chance to win in these races, or fields that are like this first race where it's more like a non-winner of one competition than a stakes race that's pretty wide open.
Yeah, no, and maybe I know we have race 3 and Mr. Dave Duncan. Good to see you. We were just talking about your tequila. It was amazing. Angel, good to see you as well. And everybody else, thanks for being here. We're going to cover 10 stakes tonight. Chris has said that we have to do it on a timely fashion. So that's the plan. And I agree with that. Like trying to give you guys good coverage quickly, give an opinion. So race 3, Oldie, we're going to dive in the Cutler Bay, going 7.5 on the turf.
Yeah, it's clearly named after Jay Cutler, former Bears quarterback. And former Dolphins quarterback.
On that note, football, the draft is coming up. Mr. Saletta, good to see you. But it's opening day of baseball. I mean, is there, and I'm going to do this with you, and then I'm going to get to watch my Mariners go on the trail to the World Series. So we'll get to see that start tonight.
Well, the Cubs opened up poorly and in Japan, came back, played a couple exhibition, not execution. Might feel like execution at times, but and meanwhile, the White Sox,
blow that screen up a bit.
It does not blow any bigger than that.
Annette, thanks for being here.
Either comes off the screen. It's got to stay like that.
I think it's all right. I mean, I can see, Chris, your point. But all right, so the Cutler Bay, not named after Jay Cutler. Oldie, what were your thoughts here?
I thought this race was pretty wide open, and I think they could go pretty fast early. So for me, my top pick was Hit the Review, the 4-horse. Here with the GSR jump, you see the surge indicator, and from a SOR standpoint, fits for Brandon Walsh. The horse is working well. Won at 5.5, nearly beat a similar group at and finished second in a stakes race, going 7.5 previously. So this was a horse for me that I thought might have a big look here.
I agree with you. It's my top pick as well. I hope we're both right because we're probably going to get 4 or 5 to 1. Manny riding in town does not ride a ton at Gulfstream, but rides for Brandon Walsh. I mean, I do agree with you, and I do think Fort Steele obviously has a shot, and the 5 maybe has a little bit of a look. But I mean, to your point, I mean, one at Keeneland, obviously knew had talent for Brandon Walsh, and I think can set a good stocking trip. Ran well 2 back in the 66. I mean, in the pulpit, it wasn't awful. So I think, fits here going 6.5. The GSR goes up 20 points, right? You can completely toss the Tapeta effort at Gulfstream. I wouldn't even look at that race. So, but I agree with you. I think this race is a little more wide open, but I land on the hit the review as well on top.
Yeah, and Manny Franco here because he is riding in the Florida Derby for Junior Alvarado on the favorite there because of the shoulder injury there. So that's why you find Manny here at all. But no, I think this is a good mount for him.
Oldie, ankle. He broke his ankle.
No, that's Tyler that broke his ankle. Manny Junior had a shoulder
Yes. You got a shoulder and an ankle. Bad stuff, man.
Dave
So,
and Mr. Dave Duncan will chat
yeah,
more about that.
yes, for sure.
But yeah, that's so Manny's riding Sovereignty in the Derby for junior. Yeah.
Yep.
And then I was curious on some of Tyler's mounts, but I didn't get a chance to look, but we'll keep going.
I haven't heard yet on Tyler's mounts, but um, so Justin, my second choice is actually a pretty big long shot here. And that's the 6 Discreet Dancer for Sano, another horse that was in that pulpit race and has gone 7.5. And I think, will definitely outrun that 20-1 price here. And if I get the pace that I think we could get here between Waken and Forge Steel, you could see Discreet Dancer getting up here as well if they just run the top off this race and collapse it.
I mean, and I see it. I think to me it would be more of a vertical
Underneath.
play. I actually my second pick was Forge Steel, the 9. Oldie. I agree with Dave. The 9 might sit a good trip. From that bow sprinting, if there's Iraq gonna sit right there for Safi. They're both dominating at Gulfstream. So that's where I landed. I don't, but I think that the 4, I like the 4 actually better than 9, but the 9 was my second pick.
Well, and I just don't know if at this level the 9 can rate, because the 5 and the 9 were in a race together previously.
Yes. Yeah.
And the 9 finished up slightly better, but neither of them got the lead, and neither of them really showed all that much.
Yeah. All right.
And
Talk about we agreed on the third pick.
Yeah, for sure. So that Wacken is my third pick. Speed needs the lead. If it gets it, could get Brave. But, I think that they're going to go pretty fast, the two of them up there. I could see this being, 22 and 2, 22 and 3 for the opening quarter.
But that's why I like Hit the Review so much, Oldie. And I
Right.
think that's your angle as well. I mean, this is the horse that I think trips out the best, but we'll have to wait and see. All right. So I'm 495. You're 465.
Yes.
All right. Let's keep rolling.
Another turf race. We're going, it's the Orchid Stakes, grade 3, going 12 furlongs here. And for those who remember, I believe it was on the Fountain of Youth card that the 6 Beach Bomb was my top pick there, and we got 4 or 5 to 1 there. And now comes back and is 9 to 5 on the morning line against a similar group of horses, and does appear to again be the pace here. So I think that the extra furlong won't be a problem for Beach Bomb, and I think you see a repeat result here.
I I landed on La Mahana. I mean, I know this is the favorite, but so what happened to this race to show up as a 66 SOR in the La Orchid? Or the last year, La Mahina raced in this, and this used to be a 74 SOR last year. I'm like, what happened to the competition? It like disappeared. So, and then so I look back at the back class, right? And obviously raced in a bunch of grade 3s, won with the WA, but in New York in a 74, sat the trip, then, should have won that 66 going 11 furlongs and won, and then raced really well in 70s. I mean, it's just the class of the race. And not that I didn't think the Beach Bomb probably had a shot. I put Beach Bomb. No, I actually don't like that horse, I think. So yeah, that's right. So I just think that not going to get the easiest lead like before. I just don't see it happening. I think this is, that the two, I just think gets a good trip, and I think's better than all of these. So
Yeah, well, that they faced each other last time out and
yeah.
went off at nearly similar odds. And Beach Bomb did win that. I don't think Beach Bomb needs the lead though. The Beach Bomb went to the lead because it was just there for the taking. I think Beach Bomb can rate if there's other speed here.
But you got Pac, so it's going to be Paco and Louis. So that's what's about to happen in the La Orchid. It's going to be Louis up front and Paco going to be aggressive being Paco. Like that's 100% what's about to go down. And the 2R's going to sit the trip. I mean, Irad going to win back-to-back races.
Well, I don't know who's going to be on the 3 for Tyler yet.
Or sorry, Manny going to win next race. But yeah, so I think good. Let's keep going. So I like the 2 on top. You like the 6. And then there's the 3. So talk about the 3. That was my third pick, but so go ahead.
Yeah, it's my second pick. Also ran in the Queen Regent, not the Queen Regent, the very one. So all 3 of these horses faced each other last time. Was a much bigger price than today. I don't think that the 12 furlongs is an issue here, and that did almost get up last time. So if there's more pace here, I think that this horse is more the closer type than the 2 La Mahina. And that's why I went with Queen Regent in second, is I think La Mahina may, if there's a pace, may be too close to it, or especially to try to not let Beach Bomb get away in that case. And it could give Queen Regent in that case something to close into.
Yeah, I mean, I had the 3 third. I don't disagree with you. I think that's where I mentioned on who's taking Tyler's mounts. I was more just curious who's going to ride this horse. There's a lot of options because there's a lot of jocks that are here on Saturday. So probably fine whoever gets aboard. I agree. I mean, it has been facing grade 3 and, just not been able to get the win. I mean, you go 2 back, like Gulfstream going 12, nearly got up, right? I mean, save ground last out, inside post again. It's a much smaller field than she's been facing. I mean, she's been facing, right, 9, 10, 11, 12 horse fields in all those efforts. Didn't even want the synthetic up at Woodbine and still ran a big race. So I mean, she has a big shot, I would say. I agree.
Yeah. What about you? What's your second pick?
I thought that the 1 as well, Dylan Davis gets off the 2 to ride the 1, but I think that's more about Irad probably getting on the 2 and Dylan getting off La Mahina. And so what Civology, but this is a big step up, Oldie, but that's the concern. But to come across as the top pick, I thought was pretty wild. And you're going to get a good price. One last out is the favorite and won fairly easily in a 60 and should have won that race. But I was looking at some of these races, and it's not improbable to come out of allowance and win a grade 3 at Gulfstream Park. So you can see it on some of these other horses, but that's a tough feat. But I mean, you get a capable jockey that Dylan rides, right? I mean, he's been riding here. So, and again, I think Irad probably get put on the 2 either way. So he still gets a good mount, and again, I'm thinking that, the opposite. I just think Paco and Louis are going to be messing around with each other up front, and that's going to be, make it difficult. And the 2 could set the trip as well. So.
And my third pick is your second pick, and your third pick is my second pick. So I don't think we need to spend that much more time on that either.
Okay.
But why don't we move to race 6, which is the grade 3 Pan American.
Big favorite, but the win percents are all wide open in this race, Oldie.
Yeah.
That was my biggest struggle with this race, was when I saw that, it kind of surprised me.
Yeah, and again, could go Capture the Flag and Corruption could both go really fast here. Again, 12 furlongs, by the way. But, for me, my top pick was Farbridge, who I just think has a massive class advantage here. Where
Yeah,
is
I
a grade
mean,
1 winner in with a bunch of non-graded stakes types.
and I mean, it wasn't this race. There's actually a race where there's a horse that has not won a race yet, and it's in the race. It's like 0 for 8, and that sometimes happens. It's not this one.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the likes of Tawny Port and some of these others. I like the bomb in this race, and I do not disagree with you on Farbridge. I actually put Farbridge on top because I have the same comment, Oldie. Like, I mean, it's a grade 1 winner that's coming out of the Breeders' Cup turf. Didn't run, but won back-to-back 82s in the Sword Dancer, and then I'm assuming that's the Turf Classic at the Big A. Like, I mean, it's not even really comparable to some of these horses.
Right, exactly. And from that standpoint, we already know the source has no issues with the distance as well.
Yeah.
I guess the question would be the layoff, but Clement's good off the layoff, and the horse
Mhm.
seems to be working okay. I don't see a reason that this horse wouldn't be a confidence play for me, and outside of White Abarrio would be a best bet.
Yeah, so I just tried to, and it aligned with the long shot angle. So here's the thing about the Wrens. It's Safi Joseph. So of course I'm going to pay attention to him. Brazilian bred has not been 12 furlongs, Oldie.
Hmm.
And that is probably not a great thing. And the GSR is not great here. So I'd be kind of curious to understand the new GSR on this horse. But it's always, I see this and I'm like, he's just up to no good in a race where Farbridge is going to take just a ton of money. And so when I saw the win percents were wide open, I actually didn't think the 2, 6, or 8 had a shot. Um, and then I started looking at some of these other horses, and I'm like, why? I mean, this horse has hit the board in 13 of 18, and or no, sorry. Yes, in 13
Yeah,
of 18 versus, I mean, it's run a lot of seconds, but then it's finally broken through at Remington and Gulfstream, and then didn't win. I mean, didn't like run awesome necessarily in both of those races, but why could this horse not like blow up the board and surprise? Like it totally wouldn't surprise me, because if this race from a win percent is really that wide open, I don't really care that this horse is 4%, because the long shot wins at like 12 to 14%. So
yep.
it's that was my second pick. I 100% would use this horse in some bets in some way, just because it's this race is not great, and it like a horse like this would not surprise me.
Yeah. I, I liked a little bit of a price as my second choice, and that was Tawny Port. I don't know why I like Tawny Port. Somebody should
I
probably just kick me in the face and take my money. But
but
you
see,
know,
that's why I like the 9, only because I looked at Tawny Port and I'm like, I just cannot get down with Tawny Port here. I just can't.
but at
But
least it's been running against some
yes,
strong graded stakes company. It's just missed. You know, maybe maybe this is the day. But again, I just think it's a cut below um, Farbridge. But at 6 to 1, it is a decent price, maybe in an exacta. Uh, you know, there.
yeah. I in my so my third choice was the 3. I mean, the main comment here, and I don't who's so I didn't look through this whole card yet, Oldie. Is Jose riding at Gulfstream?
No, he's at Oakland.
Okay. That doesn't surprise me. But you have Castellano, Irad, Dylan, Rosario, Zayas, and then Gaff on the 3 cash equities, the other Safi. But I mean, has been facing grade 1, grade 2 company. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's as similar as Tawny Port, right? I just thought maybe the 3 had a bigger look. I mean, nearly won both of those races in those last 2 races in the McKnight, and then I don't know what that other race is, but I mean, it was 10-1 there. I mean, gets love on the morning line, but that was my third pick.
Yeah.
So I just kind of reordered the picks. I thought the picks had it, but
And for me, my third pick was the 1 Corruption,
mm,
just on the off chance that this horse gets away and nobody can catch it. Cassie for Castellano. I think this horse is probably class compromised, but at 20-1 and 6-1 on the morning line, it's trying to tell us something there. Hi, David Harrison, by the way. How are you doing? Um, and, I thought that this horse underneath, especially if Capture the Flag, who's had some issues getting out of the gate, has those issues getting out of the gate here. Corruption from an inside post with no rail here could be dangerous.
yeah. All right. I'm 493 and you're 451.
Yep.
Yeah, David. David, good to see you. Connor as well. Mr. Saletta. The Tawny Port one just made me not laugh, Oldie, that you brought, but when I looked at that horse a lot, I'm like, I mean, if Iraq can't get this horse to win, I mean, and Pratt can't get this horse to win, now Dylan gonna get this horse to win? And I love Dylan, like he's an amazing jockey, but I was just like, oh my gosh.
I think it's more, if this was the right group, if Farbridge doesn't fire and this is the right group for Tawny Port and Cash Equity, one of the two of them could win.
Yeah.
But, like
Or
I
the
said,
Rens.
you might as
Or
well just
Rens.
kick me in the face and take my money instead of me putting it on Tawny Port.
But see, that's why I think Lorenz is such a long shot. And we can keep going. David, oh no.
David.
Whoa. That's why Lorenz, I'm just like, the Safi and Zaya is somehow gonna blow this race up. Thanks, sir. Today wasn't as good as yesterday, but I read today actually kind of good. I didn't bet it right, but that's okay. But all right, let's keep going, Oldie.
All right. Well, the name of this race isn't important because it's the White Abarrio race.
Yeah. So I
Right?
hadn't. If people were saying, "Oh, can you beat White Abarrio? Can you beat White Abarrio?" Right? And I'm like, I don't. I mean, I don't know. I hadn't looked at the race yet. You had looked at all the races, so I finally looked at the race today. So I understand your comment.
Yeah, and the second pick is Power Squeeze, who is uh, cut below in terms of Torpedo Anna and that group of fillies racing against the boys. She did not show well in the Pacific Classic, which White Abarrio won against the boys. I don't
Wait, why
understand
is
why they're
she
running
here?
her hair.
Why?
Not,
Why is she here, Oldie? Like I haven't. If you don't know, but I just thought like I looked. I'm like, why is she racing in this race?
I don't know what they're doing. I can't really make an excuse for it, but I just think so. To me, the horse that's most dangerous to White Abarrio is Sharp Cookie on the front end, but Sharp Cookie's another Saffy Joseph horse.
Yeah.
So isn't this horse just here to rabbit and to make sure that White Abarrio gets the pace?
I mean, maybe. I mean, White Abarrio just like literally towers over this
Yes.
field. I mean, I'm surprised White Abarrio is only 38%. I mean,
Yeah, but
sometimes we see, but
look at it on the morning line. It's 2-5.
well, and I mean, and then also if you watch the race sim, right? I mean, nearly 4 lengths. That's like, I feel
Yeah,
like the 3 to 4 length winners. I don't know what the win rate on that, but I'm sure it's fairly high.
it's fairly high. It's like over 50%.
Yeah.
It might be 70%. I don't remember what Scotty told me exactly on it.
Well, and then
But,
it's like it's a graded stakes race, which it could be even higher. But David, why would they put her here? Like, you can't find a better prep? I don't know. And maybe they're just like, well, we're gonna run for second, or I don't know. Or maybe they think they can win. It's just when I saw, I'm like, oh, maybe Power Squeeze has a shot, and I'm like, wait, why is Power Squeeze here? But I don't know.
yeah.
I'm sure there's a reason. I just hadn't heard. But I'm with you, Oldie. I think White Abarrio going to be tough.
And, maybe a 4 over 6-2 exacta is how I would play this. Or a 4-4 straight exacta out of Farbridge to here. Or not exacta, double.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be playing some 9-4 100%. Like, I'm curious what the odds of that are going to be.
Oh, I think that's going to be going to pay pretty well because a lot of the money's going to be on the 4-4 double. I'm sure
No,
Matt
yeah.
will have a few dollars there.
Yeah, no, I'm with I think the 4-4 is also a good bet. I don't know what you're probably only getting though, like 2 to 1 or something. Like,
I
it's
mean,
going to be
even
close.
1 to 1 might be value there.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but all right. Okay,
Race
this is
9.
where I'm gonna do a little handicapping on the fly with you. I'm behind my day job, and it's my day job. It's just crazy. Yeah. It's crazy town, man. I did handicap Gulfstream this morning though, so yeah. Well, let's watch the race them on the next few,
Yeah.
so I can.
Yeah,
So go ahead.
this did not feel like like a very wide open race either. I think the morning line and win percentage has this right. I think it's really between the 4 or 5G and it's all the Gs, the Queen MG and the 5G here. Queen MG second, Scotty Pick, top win percentage, top SO, no, second best SOR, but that still wins close to 40% of the time, just those two combinations alone. And the Queen MG, the thing with her is you never know when she's not going to show up. So it's difficult to only use her in my mind, but she's won a grade 2. This is a grade 2. This is actually an easier field than she beat last time at a mile. Maybe the 8.5 furlongs is a question mark here because it's her first time attempting 2 turns. That would be the only other point of caution I'd have here on the Queen's MG.
I mean, I liked her really early in her career, Oldie, and then kind of got off of her. We talked a lot about her. I don't remember if it was in the Forward Gal or Devonadale. I mean, it was small field last out, right? And she won easily. That's probably I think that was the day I'm like, I'm not sure, and then she won. I mean, even the Forward Gal and even in New York, I mean, those were tougher than this group.
Yeah.
So
Like I said, I think that the question with her is whether she can handle 2 turns because the GSR goes down to 65 there.
I mean, but it's 76 and 72 going 9 and 10. So in my mind, I don't think that's an issue. It is the first time though at start 9, but you would think that she would be okay. Her 1 turn mile was versus tougher, so I don't as much worry about that. She got a good boast. So Manny probably gonna ride for George Weaver on 5G. Maybe not. Doesn't Manny ride for George Weaver in New York?
I think so, yeah.
So,
but this horse didn't win the Honeybee going 2 turns.
Irad gets off.
Yeah,
I mean, she was in the 13 post.
but the 13 post at Oaklawn is not a bad spot, even though it
Yeah,
sounds
I
like it is
mean,
that those outside posts win at a pretty high percentage there. You
so
want you
she sent there. I mean,
Yeah,
they just sent out of the gate. I mean, Louis gonna be aggressive with Anna's Promise here.
yes. Well, I went the 3, the 4, and then Justin, I went to the 1 Paradise City, which is Safi and Zayas there. Can rate a little bit, might sit a trip right behind the Queen MG and 5G, and might be the horse that gets the distance if they don't.
So let's and then I'm gonna Shug as a live horse. Which Shug has?
Uh-huh.
Oh, the 6. Okay, hold on. Well, David, what's the? Let's talk about the 2 first. And David, I want to hear about the 6 because why so early on, Oldie? We were at NHC.
Yeah,
What 2 weeks ago? So early on, ran in that Virginia Oaks race, and that was just a very weird the very weird track and everything that went on for that short meet, and then I never follow Colonial all that much, and it predominantly been turf, but so she was definitely prepped and ready and off her maiden win, and it's nearly right impossible to do something like that, drop into, but I don't know who won that race, who won the Virginia Oaks.
I don't remember, but I'll add to you that was a 1 turn 8.5 furlong race.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. But so my point, why can early on not improve I mean, the horse doesn't have a ton of speed. Um,
I mean,
David likes the 6, but I'm trying to talk about the 2. Okay, let's hear David, what's the deal with the 6? And then I'm gonna put early on top. I'm going for the bomb to
okay.
beat Queen's MG. I'd be 2-3 something, but I'd be 2-3. But the 6 just won.
Yeah, and barely won. And doesn't appear to be working overly impressively either.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, I mean, barely won. I mean, but that was a 56. That was a tough race at Tampa. It was only 5% and didn't take money though. That would be my. But man,
and
maybe this horse is the goods. Okay,
I
David
also
said.
add the dam on the 6 screams turf.
So David said it's a weak field. Queen's MG is not very fast. 5G seems better, and Sugar's horse may be good enough to beat these off the maiden. What about the 2, David? I think early on might do this. That you and I think alike, but I'm on the 2. So, Oldie, you're on the 3. I'm on the 2, and David's on the 6.
Yeah. All right. The Santaella Island Stakes. Race 10, going another 7.5 furlong, 2-turn turf race. Here, this is where my bomb was. So I'm on the 4. It's Witchcraft as my top pick here. For Cassie with Dylan Davis aboard. Gets off the 10 horse classic queue here. You look at this horse, almost won at 8.5 against the 68 group here at Gulfstream. Ran well and got to the lead and got caught against a similar group last time out. Coming back from the layoff, you're getting a huge price and huge value on this horse, who there appears to me to be a lot of horses here who need to be on or near the lead, and this one has some tactical speed but doesn't need to be that close. So for me, it's Witchcraft. Has a big look here at 15 to 1 on the morning line and 12 to 1 on the E morning line.
All right,
But let's
keep going.
all right. And then secondly, I'm on the 6 Savetta, the top pick, who's also the top win percentage, with Irad and Brendan Walsh. This is another horse that just seems to not find its way to the winner's circle, but its last win came at 7.5 at Gulfstream. You see Bluegrass Dan has some positive work notes on this horse from before the previous race. It seems to still be working very well on the turf. It could just be better than this group. And for me, the third pick was Louis and Lynch on the 2, who's moving to turf. GSR goes up on turf. I think this horse wants turf. If you look at GSR Plus here, and they're almost 30% as a pairing as well, similar to Irad and Walsh there. So those are 3 non-favorites here that I thought were better than the favorite, the 3 La Servie, who would have been my 4th pick, but I just don't think is all that good.
This is a great race, Oldy.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll start the race sim to give you another second here. Cassie has pretty much all the horses in this race, though.
Yeah, how many horses does he have? 1, 2, 3, 3.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bigger field, so I can't say he's Bafferding this field. But I know the race sim likes the 6 and the 2. David likes the 1 for Cassie as well. I just think I just think it's not as good as the 4. It's Witchcraft there. And you're getting a better price on its Witchcraft. What about you, Justin? What do you think here?
I'm why how come you put this, why is the 6 the 4 to 1? Like I'm a little surprised at that.
And because it didn't win that grade 3 last time out, and it didn't win the Ginger Brew. It's just been missing going a mile. It is a Godolphin homebred as well, out of Into Mischief.
Man, this is by far, yeah, Dave said spread race. This is by far the it's funny, that's as far as I got, Oldie. That's why I appreciate you doing all that. All right, I'm gonna put Miss Worldwide on top. I mean, it's the second pick. Louis rides. I mean, this horse showed talent on the dirt. I mean, won the Sandpiper, was a great sprinter, flips over to the turf last out. Only had 1% and was 31 to 1 and nearly blew up the board.
Yep.
I mean, this is such a competitive race. I would, with Dave, I would totally spread in this race, but I put the 2 on top. I agree with you on the 6. I think you put the 6 second, right? You were you were 4-6. I'd be 2-6. I like it. I think your 4 has a good angle. I think the 1 has a look. I also think the 9. I actually almost was going to put the 9 on top. I mean, this horse has been impressive. So I would be 2-6-9, but it's been on the Tapeta, now gets on the turf. It's going to really have to improve. It's a state bred and then dropping in against some of these. So that horse has really got to improve.
Yeah. And looks like may need to be on the lead or pretty close to the lead.
Yeah,
there as well, and that concerns me about the pace here.
yeah, and it's not the greatest post, I think. So I'd probably be 2-6. And probably use some others after that. But I put the 2 on top.
All right.
Oh, kicks off the pick 5, Dave said.
Yep.
So 2-6, maybe. I'd be like 2-6, 1-3 something. I'll have to, when I put in my notes, I'll have to narrow there.
Yes, for sure. And the next race is the Army Mule Stakes. Didn't know Army Mule had a race named after him, but apparently does.
Wait, you hit the pick 5 at Gulfstream yesterday. The last race was like Army. What was the name of that horse? Paid $2,100. That was amazing.
Yeah, but I'm still mad at that 4 for getting off the rail, because the 4 stays on the rail and that horse wins and that one would have paid 3,700.
Oh, in the last race?
In the last race, yeah.
Oh,
Comes
I didn't
off the
get it. I
rail.
didn't see it, but
Comes off the
man.
rail, was on the lead, comes off the rail, opens the rail up for the 2. The only way the 2 gets up is getting through on the rail. If it had to tip out 4 or 5 wide, it wouldn't have won the race. But
All right, the Army Mule.
the Army Mule, 1 turn, going 7 for a long sprint, non-graded stakes. I'll start the race sim, and then I'll talk about there's a lot of horses in this race. This was not the deepest race.
I mean, the 10 probably has no shot from out there, but it's going to inject a ton of pace. I mean, I guess if the 10 clears is the only possible way. But and it's the long shot. Oh my gosh. I mean, the race sim shows that horse is going to clear Knightsbridge.
If it clears Knightsbridge, it's got Ron and his pots have a shot here at 31. It is 11% too, and you have to take note of that. And doesn't necessarily need the lead. It could probably sit right off if somebody else goes to the lead, because it has won on synthetic and turf rating. In fact, it's won on all 3 surfaces, which is pretty impressive. 7 of 14 lifetime, 30-1 on the morning line, 12-1 on the EU morning line. For me, Knightsbridge was the top pick. Just seems to be the class of this field, but has a habit of not winning and has a lot of layoff lines. This is the first time it's been second off the layoff. So we'll see how it performs. It did have a massive bullet work March 22nd, a blowout there for Mott, which makes me think that this horse must be in a pretty good shape here and pretty much ready. Again, another Godolphin homebred. It's Mott and Rosario. Question is, will Rosario choke this horse back too much?
Oh my gosh. So so who did you put on top here?
I put Knightsbridge on top. I've going up in second. And, Play My Tune, who the system has closing, I think is too far out wide. It's a nice horse though, especially coming over from synthetic. I'm not sure that it can do this on dirt. We'll see. And so I was torn between the 9 and the 1 for the 3rd spot. The 1 obviously needs a pace meltdown for Abarrio there, but if it gets it from that inside post, probably has a better chance than the 9 from the outside post.
Oh man. So you were 4, 10. Who was your third choice?
410. I have 9 written down, but I think the 1 is actually my third choice. 410, 1, 9.
I'm going by way of Irad Ortiz in this race. I'm going with Guardian Knot.
The
There's
nest claim by Pletcher, or not
yep,
claim, but move, purchase or
yep,
move.
yep. I mean, he sprinted 6 and 74 and 76s. I mean, he's been running up north, and I mean, he's a Pennsylvania bred, one at Parks and one easy in the jump start. And I mean, then Fletcher comes and runs last out in that stakes race. I mean, it was bumped at the brakes, saved ground. I mean, lightly raced. I mean, this horse has all those third place finishes. So, it's been struggling, gets to 7. You get Irad. I think you get a good post.
I
Yeah.
will, my word of caution is you rarely see a horse move out of the nest barn and continue running as well as it did in the nest barn.
No, hey, I hear you. That makes sense, right? Is that why people say the nest juice? But
Yes,
I
that and the
would
actual juice that he probably gives the horses between the two things.
but I mean, I just I cannot trust Knightsbridge, Oldie. There's no way
Yeah, I agree.
I just can't put my money on this horse. I just wouldn't. I mean, Mott might have this one ready, but why did Knightsbridge not win that last race? I mean, dueled. So the 10's sending. It's the only thing the 10 can do. So the 4 is just gonna have to sit this like perfect trip, but I just don't know if I see it with Joel.
And Alvarado was getting off this horse before he got hurt too, because he's listed it still on some of these other horses. So this was a deliberate move to take a more aggressive jockey off and put a less aggressive jockey on.
Yeah, I don't know. This I would put the 5 on top. I'll have to finalize my opinion tomorrow on this race and my EE notes, because that I don't have a good read on this one yet. But I would put Guardian on top. I think Knightbridge, obviously a legit horse. I'm just not sure I trust the price for me. So the other horse I was actually looking at, Oldie, and then we can go to the next. I was looking at the 3 horse, but I'm not sure that horse wants dirt. So maybe never mind. I don't even want to look at that horse right now. So
Okay.
yeah.
What about the other Saffy then, the 6?
I mean, that horse has class. Zayas rides. I mean, gets to 7 furlongs. I mean, didn't run in the Perryville, but that race was way tougher than this.
Yeah.
I mean, ran well at Churchill in that 76 is the favorite and won that allowance. I mean, it has all the layoff lines, though. I mean, came off nearly a 2-year layoff and it still had layoff lines and not run.
Very true. I mean, this isn't the longest layoff here, and I mean, I'm just throwing one out there at you here as a possibility at a big price, but not likely is my thought.
David here, I mean, local Abarrio has all those second places and has run well. Gulfstream, has 1, 2 times 3 seconds going 7 furlongs. So I mean, David, I think local Barrio, that's why the morning line's great. You get 10 to 1 there. You're probably going to get all of that. You might get even 12, 15 to 1.
Yeah, I think you might get closer to 20 to 1 there. But I think you might get hammered in second place on the exactas.
Yeah. All right, you're 4, 10, 9, 1. I'm 5, 4, probably 10, 2. We'll see
5, 4,
that.
10, 2. Okay.
I think your angle on the 10's legit though. I mean, if that horse clears and this thing just goes, it's kind of like magnitude at fairgrounds in that race where they just bet
Yeah.
Curtis. It's like whoosh. I mean, that's what Allen's gonna have to do, but
that's the only way to go here. But
yeah.
Even Great Navigator hasn't really been on the lead, the second pace there. So if Knightsbridge is really the 17 points slower, going up could clear and it could just not look back for Ron Potts with Ronnie Allen Jr. aboard. It's a Tampa connection.
All right, we go into we got 3 more.
Yeah, we got the Sand Spring Stakes, big turf field going a mile and a 16th. And maybe a bad favorite here, in my mind. So for me, on top,
these later races are definitely better than the early part of the card, I thought. I mean, actually, that's not true because I think there's some good betting opportunities earlier, but these are a little more competitive. Maybe that's a better way to put it.
Yeah, I agree. Probably a little more competitive. The favorites, you're the 12 horse in our time, but this horse is going to be really close to, I think, the 2 horse, but they're probably going to go pretty fast up front. And with the 2 being to the inside, I think the 12 is going to struggle to get the lead there. And so for me, on top, I had the long shot on top here, moving on up. The Jefferson horse, as we'll call him, and that this horse beat 68s last time out at a mile. The GSR is fine. Keep Zaya's aboard here. Has won at 9 furlongs. I think just could sit the trip here behind the 12 and the 2 who are going to go pretty hard.
That horse wins the race, Oldy.
Yes. I hadn't run the race for you yet, but I had noted that in my notes. And I'll
So
just speak
how
to it.
does the race sim winner with the long shot do really good?
It depends. A lot of times in these stakes races, yes. But you look here at there's a whole grouping here. And the favorite's got the tractor beam, the red tractor beam there, going backwards there. So the race sim agrees that the pace is probably going to be too hot for that horse.
Wait, what did you call it?
The tractor beam.
Oh man.
It's being sucked backwards in the stretch there with the red arrow. So, I just think that moving on up, is going to sit a trip here. And, I just don't feel like this is that great of a group in general as well. I think that there's a couple other horses I like here, and none of them are the favorite here. So,
all right, so you got the one on top. Who's your second pick?
The 6 Breathaway for Clement. And, this is another one of those Clement money burners that wins when you don't use it and loses every other time. But, again, that there's a significant amount of pace here. You're going to get a little bit of price. You got Dylan Davis aboard. I think that this horse may get the setup here. And you see it's run better with Dylan aboard than it did last time out when he wasn't aboard. And my third horse, Justin, is the 11 Five Towns, another pretty decent shot here with Graham in his motion. And, that this horse has just missed in a couple graded stakes and has a win at Laurel in a non-graded stakes race against Open Company. And, that this horse always similar to local Abarrio, always runs an honest race and always shows up. So those were my top three there.
Man, so many of these Oldie have been running versus grade 2, grade 3 company,
Yep.
and they all just come up short. Like,
Yep.
they've all been facing 70, 72, 74 SORs.
They're all
right?
tawny. They're all tawny ports. Yes.
Grab motion 2 for 38 at the meet. David, that's good to know. He has
No
the
motion
11.
in the ocean during this meet.
So I'm kind of trying to navigate this. I'm handicapping as you're talking, looking at the race sim. I think I'm in agreement with you around the 12. I do think you can beat the 12. Probably Manny going to pick up a bunch of these mounts. It would be my guess, but maybe not. Just probably depend on connections. I can get around some of these horses. I feel like Oldie and kind of cut them. I mean, maybe they beat me, but I thought this is another kind of somewhat wide open. I was kind of trying to decide on two horses that just have not been able to win, and that was between Be My Sunshine and Buttercream Bay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so, but I kept kind of going back there. I think I'm just going to go with the horse that's been running. I'll put Be My Sunshine on top. I mean, has not been able to win, but it's just been facing tougher. I mean,
Yeah.
It has run some great races off the pace and has closed. I mean, I think sits a good trip. I mean, I think 3 back didn't break well. I don't know really what happened last out. Like, did the horse just not break? I need to watch. I mean, it was 11 furlongs, so maybe I just tossed that race because it probably didn't want to go 11, which kind of adds, I'm like, well, what were they up to? So, I put the 4 on top. I think just coming from tougher races, I think with all that pace, Oldie, I do think that she should have some pace to run into, So, and you get Irad and Safi. So, yeah, Alabama absolutely destroyed BYU, I see in other news.
Nice.
So I'd put the 4 on top. I like your angle on the 1. I mean, that's a Safi horse. I'd be 4-9-6-1.
4-9-6-1.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. On to race 13 here. The Appleton Stakes, another big turf field here. This one I thought was a little hard to get around, and maybe my single in the late pick 5, even though I hate the horse. And that's the 9 Major Dude. And I just think that there's a massive class advantage here on that horse. Provided, of course, that the 4 doesn't steal the race on the front end. But we're watching the race sim here for a second.
Wait, can you go back to the beginning?
Yeah.
Sorry.
The 4 clears.
The 4 is just going to be out winging it.
Which is pretty much what the 4 does. And, it's a stretch out from, horse has mostly been sprinting here. And, so if you look at Major Dude's been in against grade 1 company as a grade 2 winner. This is a significant drop for this horse. I just think it's better than this group.
So you're saying this is kind of like those earlier races where it doesn't have much to beat.
Right. Yes. If you go through and start clicking here, I mean,
The 4 and the 3 are both coming from way easier, right?
yep.
So the 4, the 3, the 1's been facing tougher, but not running. That horse has no speed. The trouble line in that last race, Oldie, click in the last race. It says unprepared at the start. But you look at all of this, I mean, this is a common problem. I mean,
Yeah.
even when it doesn't show trouble, the horse just has no speed. And I just don't see how it's going to do that from the rail.
Yeah. I mean, the one outlier was the Kentucky Downs race, but you typically are just supposed to toss Kentucky Downs races anyways, because that form
Well, but
doesn't
it
translate.
favors speed. So
Yeah.
for whatever reason, to your point, the horse finally kind of broke well and was on the lead.
It is a sprinter. It is stretching out. It does get to Tory.
There's a lot of speed in this race, Oldie.
Yeah. That's why I think it's going to set up nicely for the horse with all the class in Major Dude, because Ice Chocolate needs the lead too.
The 11?
Yeah. Won at 24-1 at Saratoga and hasn't been seen since, and is 7-2. That seems a little rich for my blood there. And our old buddy, and Chris can chime in on this, but if he wants to jump in, but our old buddy Fly the W is here, and he's my fourth pick. Will be closing late, but this would be by far his best victory on turf or synthetic. Did get claimed by Drexler last time out, but that it would take it would take a lot to happen right for Fly the W to win this race. But definitely somebody maybe underneath at a big price. But again, if you look through here,
yeah,
there's
I
not.
agree with you. I got through the 1, 3, 4, 8, 6, and 11 and the 5. And I was like, I got the 7 out of look. Patrick, I can see your angle there. For Sisterson, kind of an interesting spot for this horse. But it's been at Gulfstream and it, won that stuff. So Major Dude, Oldie, that's who you put on top.
Yeah.
I mean, won the Fort Lauderdale, and then the Pegasus ran fine. I mean, that was an 80. I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really knock that effort there because it was probably against horses that were just too good.
So on Wednesday was the first day I started covering Gulfstream Park, and Irad Ortiz won 4 races in a row. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
he's gonna win a bunch of races again on Saturday.
Agreed. 100%. And it's just really hard to get around this class advantage on Major Dude, and the horse has been running well. It's not like he's Tawny porting it here.
Oh, David, the one. Yeah, and David, I can see your comment. That's a rough spot, but obviously will show more speed here going 2 churns. But
the one post is a tough spot on the turf in general, and then you have a horse that has a habit of breaking poorly or not being unprepared at the start. In the former ESPN football expert Pete Axtell.
I actually would. It's funny, Dave, racing that win. I actually agree with you. I'd be 9-7-4. I don't know about the 11, but not that I get your point on the 11. But I would, Oli, I agree with you on Major Dude. I put the 9 on top. I do like Seminole Chief though. I think Patrick, I like your comment. Yeah. I think that horse has a great chance to. Maybe there's some exacta there with the 9-7, and you might get kind of a good price. Because 11 going to take money and the 6 going to take money. Yeah, I'd be 9-7-4, Oldie.
Just so you can see the end of the race sim there's the race sim. I'm 9-7, 11-2.
Yeah, it has the wow. It has. I saw the 10 there. I'm like Skyro. I have a note on this horse, Oldie.
Isn't it
From it,
better on synthetic than it is on turf?
my note is from January 23rd, 2021. When when the horse broke its maiden, and my note said needs turf. That that was 4 years ago. Wow, that's funny.
It's crazy.
I mean, that horse is going to be closing. I mean, with all the pace, obviously, maybe it runs into the super or the try or something. Connor's asking if Major
Yeah,
Dude is single.
I probably am leaning that way right now, but we'll have to see what happens with scratches and everything like that. Because you could end up going back a couple races here and getting a scratch that makes a horse a prohibitive favorite. Like if the 2 scratches out of race 12, then that pulls the 12 in there as the lone speed in that race, and the 12 probably gets away. So things like that have to come into play, and then you have to decide how you're going to play it too. And maybe you don't play the late pick 5 there if something like that happens. All right, so the Florida Derby is our last race here, race 14, going 9 furlongs on the dirt with the longer run up, and you have
Oh yeah.
Sovereignty.
So what's the deal with this run up? This is where they basically all get a head start.
Yeah, think of it like, when you're watching a Formula One race and they start, it's like that's like a staggered start. But think about it, instead of starting in, let's call it row 2, they're all starting in row 3. So they have a little extra space to the corner. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a huge addition in terms of extra feet, as Chris would probably agree with. But I don't know, Sovereignty, the 2 horse, doesn't win last time out if he's in the 10 hole. He's the 10 in the 10 hole here, was the 2 hole in the last race. Just got up, run up or no run up. If he's in the 10 hole in a race, he doesn't win. And until I see these outside horses with no speed winning at Gulfstream with the longer run up, for me, I'm happy to pass and let
Yeah.
somebody else take that short price.
But
So
I mean, Sovereignty probably still has a legit shot in the Derby, but I do agree with you in this race. That's not a
yeah,
good
and
post.
already has the points to get into,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's the other point here, um, where horses like Disruptor and Mattocket Road and Tappan Street need the points. Um, for me, my top pick here, and hopefully Hot Rod doesn't tune in and hear this, is Mattocket Road for Baffert. And going to pick up Mike Smith here. The Smith rides well for Baffert, even when he doesn't ride well for everybody
He's
else.
0 for 12 in his last 12 mounts.
12 mounts, though. I mean,
Money Mike and Bobby aren't doing it anymore.
it's the Justify pairing. And, the Mattocket Road, I think, actually did its best running in that maiden race, not on the lead and not pressing. So I would not be surprised to see a different strategy employed here in a race that has a lot more speed for Baffert, because I think this horse can rate.
Oldie, you really think 53 feet on the run up is going to make a difference?
What I said, Chris, if you were listening, was if the 2 horse was in the 10 post last time out, had nothing to do with the run up. He said if the 2 horse was in the 10 post, the 2 horse wouldn't have gotten there. It had nothing to do with the run up. It was not a run up argument.
Yeah, well, you were already just arguing previously with the increased run up The run-up isn't going to matter in this race whatsoever. And
Okay,
Manicat
then you
Road
can't.
is not winning this race.
Then you
Wait,
can't
okay.
take the outside
Well,
post for sovereignty, if that's the case, because that means it will play the same way it did before they changed the run-up, which means that if you have no speed and you're in the 10 post, you have about a 3% chance of winning the race.
In the 5 years we've been doing this stuff, buddy, we've never talked about run-up. It's never mattered. It doesn't matter tomorrow. It won't
Okay, if
matter
it doesn't
Saturday.
matter, then everybody should toss sovereignty.
I'm with you there. On the outside post, not good. At the
Okay,
distance and
so
whatnot.
you're arguing with me about the same thing that I said.
No, I'm not
Well, which
arguing.
was
I'm just telling you.
until that somebody proves to me that it makes a difference. I'm throwing out an outside post with no speed.
I'm just telling you that Manicat Road isn't winning this race.
Well,
Not
Manicat
wait,
Road
who
is
is
gonna
this?
win this.
Chris? Chris, who are you on? I found my horse. Who's Chris on?
Fairly simple. The 9.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Tappan Street probably has a big look.
Mhm.
I
Look,
also think the one. I also think the one has a big look, though.
how many Pletcher horses are in the Derby right now?
0.
I don't. Oh,
Right.
is this? Well, wait.
So
Wait about Fletcher. Fletcher doesn't do it. The 9's Brad Cox.
No, but Pletcher's on the 10, right? Sorry, not the 10.
that's
The
why he's on the 4.
5. Yeah, Disruptor. He's on the 4. If
Yeah.
this horse doesn't get in the top 3, Pletcher ain't gonna have a Derby horse this year.
Well, that's
Yeah,
not my
this
fault.
is the $1.2 million purchase or whatever it was in Disruptor. I don't know that I really love this horse. It was my 3rd pick, but I think Pletcher's pretty desperate to get a horse in.
Sure. And the one for Sappy and Edgar, I mean, if that horse goes to the lead, nobody goes, he can wire them.
He could.
No, yeah, there's a lot of speed there, but the Gulfstream dirt's so dangerous.
And
Yeah, I would be 9-1 and then something else, but yeah.
Well,
I'm just
I'm
telling you.
8-9-4, and Mattakete Road is 100% winning this race.
No.
Mike Sletta, you like the 9 too. Tappan Street's going to take a lot of money. Would be my guess.
No, Sovereignty is going to go off at 2-5.
Well, Oldie, I'll tell you what. When Manicat Row wins the race, you can go buy
2-5.
2-5, yeah.
That means you're gonna get like 10-1 on the one horse if that happens, and you're gonna get 3 or 4-1 on Tappan. I actually think Tappan Street gonna take a lot of money.
I think
Tappan
the other
Street
horse
may be the second favorite.
I think Disruptor will go off as the second favorite. I think Disruptor is going to take a lot of money from what I'm hearing and seeing.
I mean, isn't the Baffert going to take a lot of money Manicat Road then too? I mean, the E Morning Line is so good. So, but
I think Disruptor, the Disruptor is, let's say, Pletcher's version of contrary of the. I can't get the words out of my mouth. The Baffert horse that's running at Oaklawn, Contrarian, and that in terms of that this horse ran a monster race last time out and looks like it's a monster, could be a monster, and I think it's gonna. I would not be shocked to see that horse go off as the second choice.
Yeah.
No,
it's
I'm
Gulfstream and it's Pletcher, and his horses always take money there.
Bob Baffert and Mike Smith for their last 12.
No, that's what I said as we started. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it's not going to happen. You and Hot Rod are going to be sad on Saturday.
I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Top win. Top E-pick.
What's
Gotta
Bob
set the trap.
Oldie in the Florida Derby?
Has he?
I think he has entered one horse, and it was Spielberg, and it broke out of the 10 post.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's 0 for 1 would be the answer. So, that there's not much. That's what we call a small sample size in the business. Disruptor. Tappan Street. Underneath, but Mattakete Road. Your winner, Sovereignty, finishes 4th there.
Yeah. Mattakete Road is going to finish like 5th, maybe.
If Sovereignty wins this race, is much going to be the favorite for the Derby.
I hope so.
No, it depends what happens in the Santa Anita Derby, but
yeah, I'm with you there.
I mean, almost battled back and hung on for dear life against our favorite horse, Cole Battle there. And you're telling me any of these horses here you think are as good as Cole Battle?
I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing that Sovereignty, Tappan Street, are up there. I mean, at least Sovereignty, you have to say is. Tappan Street, I don't think you can yet. But I think the thing, and we'll talk about Cole Battle tomorrow, right, with the Rebel. I mean, I'm rooting for that horse so much, and but you wonder if that horse is peaked would be my question. You know what I mean? Has it hit the point?
I invite people to read my notes on that horse because I watched all of its workouts since, and kudos for them they even filmed just a plain gallop for him with no time. He's working like a very high level horse.
That's good.
He does not look any worse for wear. I'm rarely impressed by solo workouts, and his workouts were very impressive.
Well, I think that's the thing. I mean, that horse has been consistent, and has massive talent because Lonnie Briley's trained a long time, and this is the horse, right? I mean, this is the one you dream of.
Yeah.
So, and nobody's been all that impressive to me, Oldie. I mean, there's been a time, but Cole Battle's just been consistent and so impressive. I mean, and you're gonna get a great price. I mean,
yeah, and we'll talk about that tomorrow because there's really only 2 ways that race plays out, and 3 horses that have a chance to win. But we'll talk about that tomorrow night.
Yeah.
All right. Final picks for the Florida Derby, Justin.
I'm what I say, I'd be 9-1-4. 9-1-4-10. 9-1-4-10.
Boldy?
8-9-4.
All right. Justin and Oldie with you tomorrow night. I will be busy, but they will take you to the Oakland card, and we'll go from there. Thank you all for joining. Any final thoughts, Justin?
It's a good card. I'll have my analysis in covering Gulfstream. Probably start putting in tonight, tomorrow. I'm gonna handicap Gulfstream tomorrow. Hopefully, we find some good plays. We'll see. But it's been fun. I appreciate it.
Oldie.
Just a note for everybody. Cornucopia, and that was the name I couldn't get out of my mouth. But all my notes are in for Oakland. I did about a third, 3 days in a row, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So feel free. You can look through there. There's probably, line item wise over 200 notes on there. So it's hopefully that they're accurate. I'll be putting a chart out as well for Oakland on Saturday.
All right, we will be with you on Saturday. The guys will be with you tomorrow night at 8:30 to go through the Oakland card. We'll be with you, I think, 12:45 Eastern time on Saturday, going through all the major races at Gulfstream and Oakland Park. Reached out to a few friends. We'll have some folks on, hopefully, going through all that fun stuff. We will see you guys then. Until then, may the horse be with you.
Thanks, all. See you tomorrow.